Hey there, everybody. Welcome to the podcast. Welcome to Breaking the Seal, episode 10. I'm Eddie. With me today, we got the ghost host.
You already know what it is.
Yes, sir. It's time for another episode, another Thirsty Thursday. This week, we get to try an awesome beer, and then also we got the part two for you with Noe. But let's get into this beer. I've been looking at it. It's called Real Ale Brewing. It's called Boombox. So it's an awesome little beer that we're going to be trying right now today. Two speakers on your shoulder, thumping in your head. That's what it's the little description that I'm reading here.
And as part of episode 10, we're going to be incorporating a scaling system from 1 to 10 now, guys, for you guys.
Yep.
Every beer we're going to be tasting from now on, we're going to be, giving it a, 1 through 10 scaling score. All right. So for episode 10, we're going to switch it up a little bit for y'all.
Yeah, so this one, it's made out of, it says right here, the American two-row barley and light caramel malt. It's a simple malt canvas of American two-row barley and light caramel melts. Buy it by the case, throw it over your shoulder, start a block party. So this is also, I'm loving the vibe too here. They have it year-round. It's Real Ale Brewing Company. I believe they're out of Texas, this little area too. Let me get you the exact location.
And
Blanco, Texas.
This brew is an IPA, so I'll get into a little bit about IPAs. Generally, honestly, guys, I mean, I know may make some people mad, but personally, I mean, I don't know, IPAs they've grown on me definitely from when I first tried one, but they're still a little much.
Clean this a little bit.
But yeah, let me well, you want to cheers or?
Yeah, bro, let's cheers. Let's try it up. I just got a sip of the foam.
Oh shit!
Cheers.
Cheers!
Almost dropped it a little bit, but.
And that's an IPA. That's for sure a 100% IPA. Definitely you get hit with the poppy hoppy,
poppy
hoppy, taste right up, bubbly, and it's right there, man. And that's, unfortunately, again, I haven't, I guess maybe part of the taste.
Oh man, yeah.
For IPAs, you know what I'm saying? It's just like that burst of hoppiness. That's what IPAs I always get. And I guess initially, again, I've grown to like some of them,
hippity happy,
but goddamn, when those hops hit you pretty hard, it's kind of rough. But no, I do kind of taste some of that caramel that you mentioned now.
Yeah, that's one of the kind of the taste, one of the things that I was noticing, the caramel taste, and then also just the malt. Yeah, like it just has kind of like that.
There you go, the malt.
Like definitely. The aroma is very tasteful. I'm really
smells IPA-ish, that's for sure. Now this is 100% IPA. I mean, if you like IPAs, I mean, I probably recommend this.
Yeah, man. I mean, I'm still trying to get a feel for it. It probably take me a second one to start, realizing, but it's 8.1%.
So it's gonna get an extra point on the scaling for that. I'm telling you.
I mean, especially for something that's 8.1%, it's not really bad, man. It's not really like like usually you get all the alcohol, like that taste of alcohol. And you like 10%. Like that other one that we're trying, the
coffee one.
Yeah, that
the
one.
Merman, right?
The Merman, that one. I liked it. I liked it because you didn't really taste the heaviness. It had a lot of flavor. So this one, it has that. Yeah, man. It's real smooth. It's real light. It has a lot of jam packed with a lot of flavor. It has the alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
I could see myself drinking it. During the spring by the pool. Like today was a perfect day for the pool. Actually, man. Oh yeah, we filmed these on. We usually film them before Thursday. This week we got to film it on Monday and or Tuesday. I'm sorry, and we actually had some good news today with some stuff that
Hold on.
We just came up, but let's review this beer real quick before.
Yeah, hold on. We still gotta scale this, Eddie. I know you like to jump ahead sometimes.
I know I like to jump ahead because the pressure is on. How much?
Not only that, and we got some good shit to talk about. I know. But hey, man, let's
try the beer. Let's try the beer. All right.
Well, if anything, look, what do you give it on a scale of 1 to 10? How about that?
On a scale of 1 to 10, see, I'd probably give it a 7. I mean, 7 is really what it was giving in my mind right now. 7, I would give it about 7. Yeah, about a 7 out of 10, man. 7.
Honestly, I give it a 7 too. Initially, honestly,
7 cuz
I was gonna give it a 6, but mainly because of my dislike for IPAs generally, right?
Mm-hmm.
I still again haven't gotten around to be like, yeah, fuck yeah, IPAs. I still am like, fucking IPAs.
Mm-hmm.
That hoppy poppy taste from the outset. But it really is good. It really is, for the most part,
Mhm.
smooth and light. Like you mentioned, I do, taste some of that caramel and malt taste in it.
I mean, even with the
But
whole boombox, it's like a party. Like pretty much like a party,
this is if
dude.
you
With my
want
taste buds, right now,
okay, look, this is if you want to like get crunk, if you're trying to get crunk. All right, like if you're trying to
like a
get
spring
crunk,
break type of thing. It
yeah,
says year round.
this is definitely, I think, yeah, spring just started. If you're looking to get crunk, if you got both your vaccines and you're looking to get crunk,
Look at the
even if you don't
can
got
too. The
both your
packaging is
vaccines,
pretty neat.
bro, fucking no. But really, this is again, the reason why I give it a 7 is mainly also too because of 8.1% alcohol,
Yeah,
man.
yeah.
I mean, shit, dude. All you need is 2, 3 of those, and you'll be feeling some type of way. This is definitely a brew. If you want to get crunk, you pick it up. And if you're a fan of IPAs, hey, honestly, I'll give it a thumbs up in regards to that. Overall, I give it a 7.
Yeah, man, I'll give it a 7. I love the flavor. I love the lightness. Yeah, like I usually I think how I would write because we got to say how we gauge our beers, right? How would you gauge it? Would it be something that you drink all day, something that you drink throughout the night?
I think you drink it again if you're going to a party and you're trying to get crunk, man. To be honest, I
Like I
mean,
think these are good pregame beers. Good pregame beers. If you're
yeah,
gonna go
I think so.
to, if you're gonna go to one of the, it's March Madness right now. If you're gonna tailgate or something, you smash open one of these. Especially we got Baylor and we got a few people in Texas too. Who was the other team? Houston.
Is it?
Houston.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't
So
even
there's
know.
some
Wait, so they're in Elite
there's
Eight?
there's some representation. So I think these would be perfect if you're
You're watching the game?
you're watching the games
Yeah, I think so. I agree.
yeah, you know what? Even during the playoffs, the NBA playoffs, Spurs playoffs, hopefully we get a chance to go in there too. I think like catch myself drinking these during the game.
Oh yeah,
Like one of those type of seatings. Like it's just one of those. It's real smooth. It's refreshing. It has that pack, that punch. It has the flavor. So yeah, man, definitely I'd give it 7 out of 10, man. That's a good little. That's a good. I think that's a good point. That's a good little
yeah.
reference.
And again, just a friendly reminder: this is an IPA. So if you guys don't really like IPAs, honestly, I mean,
Yeah.
you don't really recommend it. But if you're
But
into
for people
IPAs, fuck yeah.
yeah, I mean, especially us, we're not like the experts at when it comes to beers, but
Not
trying
yet.
some not yet. That's why we
That's what
started
we're
this,
working on.
and just trying something out of the blue because usually like just going to the store picking up something. That's what we've been doing, and we always like to make it Texas. I know we wanted to make it South Texas. And we are, building those relationships. But there's a lot of breweries in Texas that have been around forever, and we want to just spotlight them now that HEB has that platform where they can just put them in that little section where they have specialty beers, especially local beers. Yeah, that's one of the things, man, especially that Texas taste.
For
But I think that's
sure.
what it is
100%
too. I think it
Texas.
just has that taste, that signature.
And,
I don't think you can replicate it anywhere else, man.
yeah, no, Texas for life, bro. But speaking about Texas, let's talk about Starbase,
Yeah,
Texas,
man.
huh?
So today, we filmed these pretty much a couple days before Thursday. So we had a chance to film this on Tuesday, and this morning, Elon Musk announced that not only is he excited about Starbase, I mean, if you're Elon Musk stan, you follow whatever the fuck he does. Like, you've been he's doing something like that, but he finally like kind of announced it and kind of told people, hey, like come down to Brownsville, come down to Cameron County, come down to South Texas. He's
Invest,
inviting
yeah,
all
invest in the
these
area.
all these people that Silicon Valley type,
Well,
big
he
tech type of people.
specifically, what was that tech? Let's read it, bro.
And that's because no, not only that, like that's funny because we just a couple weeks ago we were talking about that. We mentioned that in our podcast. We're like, man, Starbase, and then sure enough,
Fucking
this guy,
Starbase, bro. He's
he,
listening, bro.
imagine, right? He talks about if you're listening, man, we're here.
Elon, we're a fan, bro. We appreciate
We
you
love it,
trying
man.
to send us to Mars,
Send us a
bro.
we need an esport league sponsor, bro.
Yeah, man. Hit us up, man.
SpaceX.
But like, this is his tweet, I guess you say. Please consider moving to Starbase or Greater Brownsville / South
Uh-huh.
Padre area in Texas and encourage friends to do so. SpaceX hirings need for engineers, technicians, builders, and essential support personnel
Yeah.
of all kinds are growing rapidly. So basically, he's saying, I think that that he's kind of serious about Starbase.
There's like an opportunity. He's like, hey man, and I mean I've been saying this, I've been preaching it. South Texas is a different like part of the world, and
Mm-hmm.
I think it's great that I'm on the same wavelength as this guy.
Yep.
He knows it. I think everybody knows it. I mean, But one of the things that was funny because I saw some, and it's always the people that leave the valley, man, and don't come back. Those people that say
Nah,
the
it's not even.
valley.
It's not even go there,
No, but
bro.
I'm gonna
You're gonna go there?
I'm
All
gonna
right.
go there,
All
bro,
right.
because it got me. I was like, this girl's like, oh, great, now the gentrification of my home city is gonna happen. I hope you all are happy. This is not good, honestly,
Wait.
man.
Okay, what does she mean? Well, actually, I don't even know. Who knows what she means, right? Really?
She meant that she's saying that just because Elon Musk is asking all these people, these rich people to come to Brownsville, that they're gonna be jacking up the prices on everything around them. They're gonna be pushing out the people that were there, that were originally there, like our
Mhm.
people, and push them out because they can't afford to live there anymore. And I was like, I'm thinking, no, that's not how it works. First of all, like gentrification, that's in a huge city, a huge population like LA. They had like Compton was getting gentrified.
No, if anything,
New York.
Austin, but Austin, look,
Mhm.
Austin's the best way to describe
Yeah.
gentrification, dude. I mean, shit, you had fucking all of, was it east of the Expressway 35?
Hmm.
No, nothing there. It was like,
Hmm.
honestly, it was kind of, maybe not, very well income people. But now,
Hmm.
shit, dude, you have all these high rises, all these
Yeah.
upscale apartments. That's gentrification. Where now that area, you have to pay what, $1,000 rent if you're gonna live there. Before it was probably like 400, $500. That's gentrification. And here, look, Starbase. Have you even looked up where Starbase is? It's in the fucking, honestly, corner of fucking
Yeah.
Texas. Like, that place hasn't even been really even
Like touched. Nobody's even
yeah.
thought about it. Nobody,
So
like, if anything, people thought that that's probably a waste of land,
if
and
anything, he's gonna, like, if anything,
yeah,
make something out of nothing. Okay, and if anything too, okay, what did he say? He's gonna give Cameron County 20 mil. He's gonna
yeah.
give Brownsville 10
And
mil.
it was funny because you could tell
So,
that it was one of those tweets that she kind of posted right after that. So
and then
then,
she deleted it.
and then, no, not only that, like a couple minutes later, this guy, he tweets, "Well, I'm gonna be donating," because she's like, instead of asking people to come in, you should give that money to schools. You should give that money
And that's what he
to the
did.
universe. And then he did it like 2 minutes later. And it's kind of like,
He's
we
listening,
we don't
bro.
need that negativity here, especially like we need spotlight, we need exposure, we need that.
How,
We don't we're one of the we're
you
one of the
leave
most
the
poorest.
valley because
Yeah,
it's not bright enough for you, and then when someone's trying to make it
make it
brighter,
shine,
you're
and you're
like,
not here
nah,
anymore. You're like,
nah,
nah, but it's not Austin, it's not
it's not
Dallas, it's not
Houston,
Houston.
nah.
Nah,
Look,
motherfucker, we have the best tacos.
we
i'm,
got the
I'm gonna
best.
say that every day.
What'd you say?
We have
Yeah,
the best fucking
damn right,
tacos
we got
in
the
the
best tacos.
world, baby.
And don't
That
forget to go to Pueblo. Or no,
tacos,
Plebe.
tacos plebe,
Tacos
tacos
Plebe.
plebe.
Don't forget about Taco Plebe.
Nah,
Honestly, it's
man.
Taco Tuesday. Well, right
Yeah,
now,
we filmed
honestly,
it. Yeah,
I may fucking go get some right now. To be honest, some
nah, man. But it's a good
para
opportunity,
nalgas.
man. Definitely for like something like this to be in our backyard. It's an international border,
Yeah.
so you can't really. I mean, shit.
And you're
If
gonna
things
tell
get
me
expensive, I'll go to Reynosa,
you're not
right? Isn't that what we do with
you're gonna
dentists?
tell me you're not gonna want to go fucking drive an hour to go see a fucking spaceship launch, bro? What?
And,
How
and
you not
honestly,
be
like
down for that?
this is gonna help the city and Cameron County like so much, man. Innovation, a lot of different ideas, a lot of different people coming in to teach things, a
Yeah.
lot of people that are gonna get inspired to want to study this
Exactly.
instead
Think
of
about all the
people
kids that are gonna be expired,
instead of
man.
most of our people resorting on just like, and I'm not going to dog on these jobs or anything, they're important, but most of the people that we work with, they go to the oil fields and they have to resort to that when you could just stay home and do that same thing in another aspect. SpaceX is going to need people to help out with building up their spaceships and things like that. It's going to help out a lot. There's going to be people there's so many jobs they're going to be opening up, and it's not like they're not going to get paid. People are going to get paid for it. They're going to be doing that, and if anything, wages are going to go higher.
And
There's going
if
to be a
anything,
lot of good
we're gonna
stuff.
get more income from outside of the valley.
Hmm.
Like, that's another thing too,
More
that
grants, more
more grants,
opportunities.
and then more too is like, okay, other people were flocking in, maybe making more of a tourist attraction too. We
Mhm.
get fucking money from outside of the valley. I
Mhm.
mean, how do you not want that? Anyways, you
But
know
yeah, I
what?
mean, I'm not. Yeah, we're not expert, but it's just common sense. Like something like
Yeah,
this, it's gonna help out. I mean,
exactly.
it's not bad for the community. I mean, and you
This
want,
motherfucker
but
is
no,
sending
it's
spaceships
it's
to
so funny.
space,
It's so funny to
man.
me that you want to talk about gentrification. Let's talk about South Padre Island. Like South Padre Island is pretty much owned by people like investors from New York, from out of the country.
It's kind of
And we're
true.
not complaining about that,
And that
right?
shit's expensive. You want to buy a condo? Get ready to drop
No,
half a
no, I'm
mil.
pretty sure that girl
Shit.
that sent that tweet was out there on Coca-Cola Beach twerking it up. You know what I mean?
She
But now we are talking about gentrification when
she
she's twerking it
she
up.
barely was exposed to that word, bro, in college.
I
Watch.
know, right? She probably just learned that last week in a fucking just so she could put it in her paper that she turned in late. But anyways, man, that's stuff. That's awesome stuff that I like to see in the valley. Some innovative
Honestly,
stuff.
shout out to Elon.
Shout out to Elon, and we're doing we like to do innovative stuff on our own. We finally we teamed up with the fellas at the 956 Sports Card Show. So May 15th and 16th, you all better be there or be squared. It's going to be Madden 21. May 15th,
Damn.
16th, you got a chance to win $1,000 in prizes.
Bring your truck stick and your hit
Yeah,
stick.
you better bring them sticks. You better be ready, boy. We're going to be playing some Madden. We're going to be giving away some prizes. We're going to have that going on there at the 956 Sports Card Show. You can sign up on the Mission Control app.
There
We're
you
already
go.
running
There you
down.
go.
Yeah, we're running down already with the other esports leagues. So we're launching our next set of games. Madden 21 is going to be, the first one that we launched for our spring league.
And Eddie, this is gonna be in person, right? This is
Yeah, this is an in-person event. Make sure you're wearing your masks. Make sure we're gonna be making sure to take all the precautions necessary. We're just gonna have all the players that need to play in that vicinity. If you do want to watch, we're gonna try to make sure that we get something to go in online for y'all to be checking out. So we'll be trying to get that going for y'all. But it's $25 to play.
There you
go. You get a T-shirt. You get access to the show for the weekend.
go. Nice.
And then you get a chance to win that $1,000 like I was mentioning. So it's an awesome opportunity. If you're good at Madden, I want to see you out there, man. I want to see you out there competing.
What
man.
are the dates again, bro?
So it's gonna be May 15th and 16th. You can sign up now on the Mission Control app. Go to the RGV Strong page, message me, our Discord too. That way you can check that out. And yeah, man, it's gonna be in the Mission Control app. You download that. What you're gonna do is once you download it, you go look for the RGV Strong community. Then you click the RGV Strong community, you join it, and then it should be there. We're gonna have PS4 and we're gonna have Xbox at the moment. If we do need to combine them, we will do that too. I'm just giving everybody a heads up right now. But that's going to be May 15th and 16th at the Sports Card Show. We're going to have the setup there and everything so y'all could play. You're more than welcome to bring your own controllers, but we will have some and we'll make sure to sanitize them and get them all set for y'all to play.
And yeah, preferably bring your own controllers, of course, for y'all's own safety purposes and so y'all can feel a little bit more comfortable, of course.
Yeah, we'll try to make as much adjustments as possible, but right now we're looking at one console, 2 players per console as we go just right now for the moment. Just so you get a heads up. But if you have any questions regarding that, just feel free to let me know. You can ask the fellas at the 956 Sports Card Show for my number, and they'll help you out. But yeah, man, I'm ready for this. This is something I've been wanting to do for a while. Something I think we're ready for. And if we can get these events going every now and so often, every so often, I'd be happy to do that, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, man.
I'm glad to honestly. I mean, we talked about it maybe a few episodes back about trying to have in-person tournaments, and look, here we are. We're about to fucking launch one. So
we had an opportunity. We spoke with Guzman and Garcia. We had them on.
Shout out.
And yeah, I'm happy that if there was anybody that we could do it with, it's these guys. And I'm very confident about these guys at the Sports Card Show, and also I'm confident about these guys at Mission Control. So make sure you go download that Mission Control app. That way we can get you all set up. But we're gonna, this episode, we're still talking about the UFO convention, this out of this world UFO convention. That's April 8th, 9th, and 10th. We talked to Noe for a little bit, but there's been some news since we actually recorded this podcast.
This came out about a few days ago, actually.
A few days actually after we finished recording.
Coincidence?
Ghost host over here, man. He sent me a little coincidence. I don't know, man.
I think not.
I think we're on the same wavelength as national, the national consensus and everything.
Yeah, so they're releasing shit. They're releasing
some stuff. It was very, and a lot of people are gonna think, oh, what is it? Did you get it from some random ass Google link
Website,
or
whatever the
nah,
fuck.
man? This is the New York Post.
And not only that, but I think it first came out on Popular Mechanics, and then
Mhm.
Eddie, you just found right now or a little while ago that it came out on New
New
York
York Post,
Post,
and
and
then
then
Forbes magazine has some more
so I mean
details on it.
that's triple, man, triple
So
people confirming that. And basically, in a
mhm.
nutshell, what had happened is that I think it's off the
So if you don't know about
Pacific, right?
in 2015 there was originally this Tic Tac object, or I think it was even more than that.
And that's a video
Commander,
that you'll probably all have
Mhm.
seen on
Mhm.
I'm sorry, on not TikTok, maybe TikTok,
Well,
but
it's a Tic Tac shape,
okay. And
and
hold on, I want to get into what the fuck a Tic Tac shape is, because I was like, what the fuck is a
okay,
Tic Tac
so
shape? Is it fucking
so
XOs and
far,
shit, right?
according like, and I try to ask Noe this too. According to all like the MUFON, what he was talking about, all the
Mm-hmm.
sightings and everything. There's only been a few kind of sightings: the triangle shape, the sphere, the glowing sphere, the
Mm-hmm.
cigar shape,
Oh yeah.
and then the Tic Tac shape.
Okay, the Tic Tac though.
So
What I was tripping, I was like, what the fuck does he mean Tic Tac? So Tic Tac,
it
imagine.
looks like a Tic Tac, like
Okay, but Tic Tac in the sense of the shit for your breath, right?
yeah, like a Tic Tac,
Like a
yeah,
Tic Tac,
not TikTok, Tic Tac,
like that
Tic
oval
Tac.
shape shit. You know
Yeah,
what I'm
like
saying? That
refresh your breath, like those
exactly.
little white little pellets that look like kind
That's
of
what
like
we
pills.
mean by Tic Tac. For
Mhm.
honestly, look, I mean,
Oh yeah, if you're not familiar with the story,
I was like, what is Tic
so
Tac? Like,
in
what the fuck? But yeah,
2015, this
that's what it is.
Commander Fravor, Navy base, he was flying out there. They were looking at our Navy pilot. I'm sorry, they were flying out there, and all of a sudden, this object started following them. So this object was following them all over the place. So
Up,
all over
down, left, right, crazy ass shit.
this, it was predicting where they were going to be before they were there. It all their communications, totally screwed that up.
And that was in
And that's
2015.
yeah that's
And there's a video of that, right? There's
and
some
that's an
video of
act
it.
of
It's
war
like it's
too.
like black and white and shit.
They scrambled all the communication, and well, that's an act of war. So they were kind of like, oh damn, what is this? It didn't have anything of like foreign, just to make sure it's like the Russians or the Chinese. It wasn't any of that. So they didn't know what it was. They had no way of describing it. So this happened, came out in the New York Times.
Yeah.
Now there was an article that came out recently that these Tic Tac shapes back in 2019.
Which is 2 years ago, which is what, like 4 years after that pilot saw this Tic Tac.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And even before that, he even mentions that they didn't tell him this at the time, but after debriefing, they mentioned that this had been happening for about, I want to say, multiple weeks. And they said the reason they sent them out there to go see what was going on, and he didn't know that until after the fact. He was like, "Oh wow," but then everything just gets thrown under the rug. But this right here,
Yeah, 2019.
in 2019, so in California, the same area, it's like they always say it's off that San Diego coast, like from what
Yeah.
I've been hearing and reading.
Fucking weird.
So a destroyer, it said a destroyer said at one point, so mysterious flying objects repeatedly harassed 3 U.S. warships off the coast of California in 2019. At one point, matching the speed and bearing of one destroyer for 90 minutes, according to the release. So,
And that, like, it dropped down supposedly to
mhm,
eye level. Like
mhm,
basically, it was like right in front of the destroyer, just like
for
fucking
several days.
just floating, bro. And it was like what, like not necessarily a pact, but a
Uh-huh.
pact of them, I
It
think,
says
right?
as many as 6 drones swarmed around the U.S. Kidd, U.S. Raphael, and the U.S. John Finn over several days in July 2019, at times performing brazen maneuvers. So man, yeah, and that's really what I guess brazen means, like crazy, like out of this world type of thing. And that's really
Definitely.
how the same thing how it's described to the Tic Tac,
In
like the
2015, right?
propulsionary device, like the way that it like propels and everything. It's all over the place, up, down, left, right. It can do it.
I think I briefly read that it like went from, I don't know, I guess like eye level to 50,000 feet in the air, like in a
Mhm,
matter of like fucking seconds. Which, I mean, we have no technology, at least to our knowledge, that can do that, right? So this
mhm.
is kind of crazy, right? I mean, a few months ago, 2015 video was released, and then now this was released, 2019, in the
Yeah.
same area. That
In the same, yeah, and another thing it says here, that it disappeared, and they were trying to catch it with thermal imaging and electrotopical systems.
So I got a question for you guys. Do you all think it's legit, alien shit, or do you think it's honestly? I don't know why. I feel like it's the U.S. government just fucking around with its own,
Mhm.
I guess personnel, like in this, I don't know. Maybe I'm a little, I
Hmm.
guess, tripping out, but I do feel like we have access to this shit already, and it's just like these are prototypes that,
Hmm.
we're using necessarily on our own people, not necessarily on our own people, but our own military. Like, hey, let's see how they react, or whatnot. But I don't know,
Yeah,
man. It
man.
could be fucking
I
aliens
mean,
too, man.
again
I
and
don't
again, it
know.
goes back to what we talked about in the last episode too. Before we set it off, but we said that most of these tend to happen in
And
areas that where there's military testing, military sites, bases, things like that. So it's kind of one of those unexplained things where nobody knows, and but why does it happen around there? And it could be that.
could be coincidence, or it could actually
But
be
I
that
just like the
maybe
fun that we're
interest
having with these reports, man. It's just kind of like it gets people closer and closer
to
to
hopefully some
the
form of
truth,
truth in a
you know.
way. And supposedly, I think what it was a passed by Congress that the government does have to release a little bit more documentation with the next few months, and I think they're slowly releasing it, and there
Mhm.
will be a report
And then right here
released,
too,
right? I think when the summertime, I think, or something like that.
hopefully soon. But right here it also says that in actually in November 2019, I guess before it happened, a similar incident happened in 2004, involving the USS Princeton. So yeah, these incidents are happening
And
consistently
for some time
in
now, we're
like the
barely
past
finding
in
out.
the past like 20 years. So an interesting thing. Hopefully we get the truth pretty soon, and it's cool that we got to talk to Noe about that. And not only that, man, we got to talk to him about the case I love the most, Travis Walton, man. That one is like the closest or the most reliable source of like just an abduction, a close encounter, as they say, because everybody has the same report, everybody has the same story. The story has been told the same for over 40 years already. I think it happened in like the 60s. Yeah, like about man, it's been told the same for years, man. And they even made a movie out of it. Like Noe said, they're even thinking about remaking a movie out of it. So it's cool to also see Noe's experience walking through the forest, man, where that all happened. And
Yeah, and we get into that in this second
yeah, if you
part.
don't know about the Travis
Um,
Walton, we talk about that, and then we also talk about another, just the technology itself. Like, who knows what it is, and just when you start seeing things like this happen, and credible sources like the Post, like Forbes, people articles that actually break news, around the world,
and
and they're doing all this, they're like posting this stuff. So it's kind of one of those things to dabble with, and then also just kind of get you your curiosity going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, most definitely. And so in part two, again, we of course continue the conversation about these unidentified objects as well. And I even brazenly asked him a few questions towards the end, what his opinions are,
Yeah, man.
and a few other, kind of, I try to, get a direct answer from him. And I think he gave one in regards
Mhm.
to if there's other, life forms out there.
Mhm.
So, definitely stick around and
Yeah,
finish the podcast so you can see what he says. I mean, this guy again, he's been around the scene for a
for a
while.
while,
If
man, and he's
anything,
teamed up with a lot of people in the
he's the
UFO
guy.
community, with even with his Roswell books. We talked about his Roswell book. You can go pick up. Last episode, we had a chance to briefly touch on, just the history of it, the real cowboys and aliens, as he says. But one of the things I want to stress, guys, don't forget to like, don't forget to subscribe. That
We got
really
some
goes
more
a long
stuff
way
coming
for
up.
us. Got a lot of stuff, a lot of stuff coming up. We've got a couple more. We got a couple restaurants that we're gonna spotlight. We have another author that I'm excited to have on. Another hockey. There's a hockey league going on, and then we're getting some more of these breweries and brews, especially some other unique stuff that people are brewing up. Not just beer. There's some other stuff out there that we're gonna be trying on the show.
Even got Oak
Um,
coming up too, man. That should be a
yeah,
good one.
yeah. So make sure that you subscribe. We're on Distortion every Wednesday, so thank you for listening in and joining in today. If you're on Distortion right now, YouTube, like I mentioned, subscribe and hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that like button. It goes a long way for us. It goes a long way for the people that we're spotlighting too. a lot of RGV small business owners, and we're looking to grow, and the it's awesome to see some positive news out there, and we'll be happy to continue to spotlight what we have to offer. If you don't know about the Rio Grande Valley, this is a podcast to listen to, especially here in South Texas with all this happening. So, without further ado, we have our friend Noe, local author, local UFO researcher, and make sure you go to the Edinburgh Out of This World Festival, April 8th through the 10th, and check that out under the stars too. So, awesome stuff.
Let's get
I
trippy.
want to get into a little more about recent sightings. I know I was watching some of your recent videos, and like the Border Patrol one I was mentioning earlier. So, can you tell us anything? I think it was one of your videos. You're like, this year has been it's been a very popular year for sightings. I think it was like 2016 or so. So, I just wanted to see more or less how's it been since then. There been a lot more reports.
Yeah, unfortunately, over the past year, people have been mainly indoors and there haven't been as many reports. But previous to the pandemic, we were getting a lot of interesting videos as more and more people have a means to take pictures and videos with their phones. Although the quality is extremely poor in most cases, because you see something moving in the sky, you reach over, you grab your phone and you start filming, but it usually is kind of far away and it's moving and you don't have a reference point in a lot of cases.
Mm-hmm.
The best, if you're going to shoot something that you see, try to shoot it with some kind of reference point, a tower, a building. I worked for a local school district, and one of the security officers gave me footage that he took of a UFO hovering over his house.
Oh wow!
And you can see the roof of his house, and you can see the object come down out of the sky, hover over his house, and then shoot back up. Now, what I liked about that video is, well, first of all, I consider law enforcement personnel to be more credible than just the average citizen. Plus, he came to me and told me that, I got a chance to interview him face to face. And then the other thing is his video was very, very well done because he held his phone very still and you could see his house, the roof of his house, as a reference point. So I encourage people that if they see something strange, to try to always keep a reference point. There was another video that was given to me recently that looked really strange. It was an object, a lit up object over the Target store on North 10th Street in McAllen.
Oh wow!
And it looked very impressive, and we kept looking at it. And then I went out to the location, and what it was one of the parking lot lights that Target has. They're kind of an odd rectangular shape. And if you shoot only a single one of those lights when it's turned on and it's late at night and everything else is dark, it looks like a UFO hovering over the store.
No, man, that's funny. No, definitely. I think there was the Border Patrol one was the one that was really compelling to me because he was like, guys, you can't see it, but in my binoculars, like it's a triangle shape. Like he's just like saying, like he's freaking out in the video. And
that was like, a very impressive video, and we get a lot. I started what I was trying to get to was there are, of course, you have to take everything with a grain of salt, and you have to be very skeptical. You can't just see a light in the night sky and say that's an alien spacecraft.
I remember one time I did that with my buddies. We were hanging out, and I was like, "Oh my God, the moon is falling! The moon is falling!" But it was just a balloon in the dark. It was just a balloon falling.
Now we have aircraft, which usually you can hear sound from the aircraft. And you also have the landing lights, the flight lights a lot of times. But if you see something that's exhibiting non-ballistic motion, it's moving up, down, side to side. It's got strange coloration, not blinking lights, and it's not traveling along a smooth and steady course, but it's zigzagging. Something like that becomes
like the Tic Tac, right? That's been recent. The Tic Tac footage that was recently released. That was some awesome footage.
And how'd you feel about that? Yeah, how'd you feel about that footage? I mean,
yeah, very impressive. And by the way, one of the speakers at the Edinburgh UFO conference is Kevin Day, who was with the U.S. Navy when that incident happened, and he was a radar specialist, and so he's going to speak about. He's done a lot of research into the
Oh
TikTok
wow.
UFOs. So you guys don't. Everybody who's listening, you don't want to miss Kevin Day, retired Navy radar specialist, is going to talk about the TikTok sightings. Very impressive sightings. We never got to who the speakers are going to be this year, so we have a chance. I'd like to go over them because it's a very
Yeah.
Let's
Definitely,
let's go
definitely.
ahead and get that. Yeah. So who
Yeah,
are we gonna
Kevin-
see this week? This
Well,
next.
now this is going to be very impressive because we have a former CIA agent speaking about UFOs and aliens. We're going to have a former FBI agent. We've got former U.S. Navy specialist that I mentioned, Kevin Day, and we've got the former head of UFO investigations for the British government.
Oh wow.
That's Nick Pope, right?
Nick Pope. So, I mean, this is an impressive lineup.
Right.
Taking each one in turn, Nick Pope, as you mentioned, he was in charge of investigating all UFO sightings for the British government for like a decade, and he had access to all the top secret files. He's on almost every television program about UFOs that's on the air. He's a very recognizable name. He's been a contributor to Ancient Aliens and almost every show on TV. So he's been down. He loves Edinburgh, by the way. He loves coming down here. So he'll be one of the speakers this year again. And then we've got former FBI agent Ben Hansen, who was on the Fact or Faked TV show a few years back, and has done a number of other UFO series. And he's done extensive research into world leaders' reactions to UFOs, including U.S. presidents, among other topics. So he's going to be speaking as well. And then Daryl Sims, who's a former CIA agent and is one of the world's leading authorities on aliens and alien abductions and alien implants.
Oh
Now,
wow.
one of the most, and when I first met Daryl years ago in Roswell, we were both speaking, and he shows me his collection of all the implants that he personally has taken out of people's skin.
Wow.
What the?
It's an eerie thing. He
That's
doesn't
very strange.
he doesn't make those public, but he talks about how the implants work, and the aliens put them in people, and they use them apparently to track people.
And you've seen them like firsthand,
Oh, yeah.
like the little.
Yeah.
And how? I mean, they look kind of just eerie. They look kind of not, I guess, human technology for the most part, or what would you say?
They're not. They're little. They look like little metallic slugs. They don't. The characteristics are unknown. They contain alloys that we're not familiar with, and
Now I know that's one of the things too, like especially with like these close encounters, like there's a lot of these kind of experience. Like I know one of the things that especially with the San Antonio incident, I was really curious about that one. Some of these things, they kind of repress memories, right? Like there's a way where they repress memories, and then later on, maybe a decade or two later, they kind of get this back, like, hey, what happened?
yeah, we had that interesting case you mentioned where the gentleman from McAllen, who still lives in McAllen, by the way, right there on South 23rd Street, just south of Old 83. And he told us this story about he and his brother were coming back from San Antonio. They went up there to purchase a car, and they were bringing the car back down 281 when they had this encounter in the middle of the night. And this was in the 60s. And then their memory got wiped, essentially, because he did not recall it until many years later. I think it was the late 80s or 90s, when he had entities visit his apartment complex in McAllen where he lived. And then it all came to his mind that he had seen these same entities before during this trip coming back from San Antonio in the 1960s. So,
That's very curious.
They have ways of jacking with your memory to blank out what you saw. This was also, of course, in the famous Betty Hill and
I was
Barney
about to
Hill.
say that the time lapse part, that's the thing that got me curious. They said it was like 30 minutes. They don't remember.
Yeah, they had to bring it back using hypnotic regression years later with Betty and Barney Hill, uh,
Yeah, tell
who's
everybody a little bit about that story. If they don't, I'm pretty sure like I know there's a lot of people, but on our page they're not really familiar with the Bennett Barney Hill. So that's an awesome
it was
story. I
the
love it.
world's first well-known UFO abduction story, although there were earlier UFO abductions that were not well reported, even as far back as our books about the 1800s. But in the early to mid 1960s, Betty and Barney Hill. Betty was a black man, and Barney was a black man, and his wife Betty was a white lady, and they had recently been married, and they were traveling in the mountainous area back in the Northeast, New Jersey area, New Hampshire, and they were basically they saw this object coming near their vehicle, and they found themselves with the object landing and hovering near their vehicle, causing their vehicle to stop. And then before they knew it, they were taken aboard and medically examined, which they found themselves back in the car and headed back home, and they didn't remember any of it until years later when they underwent hypnosis. So
that was really like a compelling story, just hearing that and that whole thing. But the one that I want to talk about also is your buddy. I know you say you're real good friends with Travis Walton, right? So walking through that forest, can you tell us more about that?
yeah, Travis is a real down to earth, very interesting guy, and I've been up to his hometown in Snowflake, Arizona. It's a beautiful place up in the mountains. It's surrounded by national forest. And Travis took us out to where the actual incident happened in the national forest there near his home in Arizona. So he was in the 70s. He was part of a logging crew that was chopping down trees at the request under contract for the national forest with a company that was cutting down trees in the national forest. When they saw lights hovering in between the trees, and they all got in their vehicles and they were trying to get out of there, but Travis told the others to stop the car, and he got out of the truck because he wanted to go see. And then when he approached this huge metallic silvery craft, very sleek looking saucer,
one of his friends or one of the people said it looked like a Corvette, kind of, right?
Yeah,
Like a
it was a very sporty looking ship, they said. So this beam of light hit Travis full on in the chest and knocked him backward about 30 feet. And to the other loggers who were in the truck, it looked like Travis was dead. I mean, they thought it had killed him. So they took off. They just got the truck going, and they just took off down to the nearest town. But then when they got down the mountain a little ways, they decided, we better go back and see if Travis is okay. I mean, we don't know for sure that he died. So they went back to the scene and they couldn't find him. And it was at that point that they finally made it back down to town, and they told everybody what had happened, and nobody believed them. They thought the law enforcement, the sheriff thought that the guys had killed Travis and hidden his body.
Mm-hmm.
So they went up there the next day.
And they put it on paper too, right? So that's another thing. Like it was on the paper and everything, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. You had people, media from all over the world that came down to interview these guys and to figure out what was going on because their story was so incredible. Mm-hmm. And anyway, the law enforcement went, they took dogs, sniffing dogs. They were looking for the corpse of Travis. Well, he was gone for days. I think it was like 5 days. And then suddenly he just reappeared in the middle of the road leading into town. And the only thing he remembers from that part of the story is that he saw the ship zipping off into the sky, and he was just left there alone. And what happened was when he woke up after he got zapped by this beam of light, he woke up on board the ship, and it was already either in orbit around the Earth or somewhere beyond the Earth. And he had a chance to walk around the ship. He saw two different kinds of alien entities. They didn't communicate with him verbally, and everything he saw there on board the craft was very strange, a technology he was not familiar with. He saw star maps projected in one particular room. He saw this command chair with buttons and dials. And at the end of the time he was with him, they apparently subjected him to medical investigations because he woke up and he saw he was on a flat table and there were all these instruments all around him. And then at the end of the 4 or 5 days that he was on board the ship, they put a mask on him, and this caused him to black out. And then the next thing he remembers, he was back on Earth and walking toward his town. And of course, everybody said that he was crazy, and he's had nothing but negative stuff happen for the rest of his life because nobody wants to believe that what he says happened really happened.
But just seeing his especially doing it on the platform like Joe Rogan, like telling a story like that, you could tell like it's really like I mean, it's something that like he was just, it's really genuine, you know. It wasn't like I don't know, especially a podcast. That's one thing you can find out with podcasts, and that I'm loving. You can finally see somebody for who they are. They got 3 hours to talk, and he's talking there 3 hours about his life, about everything, and just to hear it. I mean, I'm pretty sure you've heard it, and you know, you even said he's a nice guy, right? So it seems like he's an awesome dude.
I've spent a lot of time with Travis, just one-on-one. He loves Texas barbecue, by the way.
Oh, so man. I got some clients too. We could probably try him out too. We could probably take him over there.
Well, he's a good eater too, by the way. We take him out to have some barbecue. He spoke for us here in Edinburgh several times, in Laredo and Presidio, and in other conferences that we helped organize. So I spent a lot of time with him, and he is who you see he is. There's no pretense there. And he's when he's sitting there, he's still trying to puzzle it out, like what happened to me. And he'll tell you that he doesn't have the answers. He's just
the thing that got me really intrigued was the cover-up aspect too. Like I think they were trying to get one of his friends that seemed like the weakest link to you know, get up to make everything fold, but you know, his friend is just loyalty. You could tell just like that. Like if you have loyal friends like that, you know, even to, you know, it just goes a long way.
One of the most fascinating things, just to finish it off, is that they found that the tree rings,
right? Okay.
You slice a tree, you look at the rings. The trees where the UFO landed, they have not aged as quickly as the trees farther away. So the trees farther away are aging naturally, but the ones there are aging very slowly.
And another thing I was hearing, is it true that there's those like it's like radiation icicles or some sort of things that have been forming in some of sort of these events? I forgot what they were called, but I remember them looking at like there's some sort of like, not icicles, but kind of like kind of like a cave, like, you know, when the cave, I forgot what they're called, but no, definitely like there's some side like you could tell like there's evidence of there, like they were trying to recover some sort of technology or some sort of element or something like that.
I will say this, that when Travis took us out there to where it happened, you get this really strange feeling. Even all these many years later, there's just a strange feeling in the air because when I do my presentation, when I talk about Travis's case, I show the pictures that I took at the location, and you get this really eerie sense that something really did happen there.
I do want to talk about Roswell and just how you started off the book. Like it's a little tour guide right throughout the city. So this book, if you happen to be in Roswell, you can scan. I like the whole scan the barcode feature, and it takes you to Google Maps. It's very cool and awesome that you made it interactive.
Well, here's the deal. I kind of wrote that book originally for myself because I was going to Roswell to speak there and stuff, and yet I didn't know how everything went down, like where everything happened. So I started interviewing people. I interviewed some of the people who were familiar with the UFO incident, and I found and I located about 30 different physical locations where you can go that still exist today, where something significant happened, like where they conducted the alien autopsy, like where the bodies were taken after the crash, like the location where the crash itself happened out at the Foster Ranch. And so I put each one of these locations into a chapter. So there's like between 20 and 30 locations that you can visit today. You can go and actually stand there, and you can say, okay, well, here's where the Roswell Army Airfield surgery room was, where they conducted the autopsy on the aliens. Uh, so my book, The Ultimate Guide to the Roswell UFO Crash, which, by the way, as far as I know, it's still the best-selling book at the Roswell gift shops. All the
Awesome.
tourists,
Congrats.
yeah, thank you. And it's been for several years. All the tourists that go there, they want to go and visit these sites, which I know the UFO Museum is very popular. You can go to the UFO Museum and you can hear about the case, but to actually go out to the to where it happened is it takes it to another level. So the book, I put it out in both English and Spanish, and it's been very popular. And so it tells the story of how in July 1947 a UFO crashed just north of Roswell at a ranch, and that the U.S. Air Force, at that time it was called the Army Air Force, they went out there and they recovered the saucer and they brought it to their base located in south of Roswell, which is, by the way, now it is the airport for the city of Roswell. So when you, if you fly to Roswell, you arrive in
the same
terminal.
airspace, I guess, right?
Yeah, and you drive through all these buildings where the alien autopsy occurred and where all these famous landmarks, and most people have no idea that this is where it all happened. But
no, I definitely like how it starts too. I mean, you start off right off the bat with I believe it was a colonel's experience when he was a kid. His dad came in with some pieces of technology, and he was like, or pieces of the crash. And he was just like, oh, what is this? And another credible source too, like, just somebody that works with the government too, especially a military family. I mean, that's what it looks like,
Yeah, the whole Roswell in the 1940s was a complete military town. It was built up around the air base. And what a lot of people don't know is that the planes that dropped the bombs on Hiroshima, that was the air group from Roswell that dropped those bombs. That was one of the most highly classified military bases in the U.S. They had nuclear weapons stored at that facility. And all around the city of Roswell were nuclear, and still are, although they are no longer active, are nuclear missile silos, which were intended to protect against an attack on the base. So it's a fascinating story. We could spend 2 hours just talking about the
No, definitely no. And I mean, it just goes back to the way that you do your research. That's why I wanted to go back to it, because the newspaper, that was the one thing that was really controversial. The government's giving them a press release, and a couple of days later, they're like, no, that's not true. This, like that, and then you see a lot of people in the community saying, hey, we saw this going on.
This was the very first case where the government had to release something about a UFO, and they realized that it wasn't in the public interest to give them too much information after they did it. And so because of the experience that happened in Roswell, after that is when all the UFO cover-up began. And the government started covering up rather than releasing anything. But it all started with Roswell. Because of Roswell, they wrote the playbook on how to keep all this stuff under wraps. Yeah.
And the thing that I thought was pretty funny, because like as soon as I'm reading this, I'm thinking of War of the Worlds. I'm like, where, because that happened a decade before. Like, people were freaking out on that, right? And people were jumping off buildings, and they were just like, what is going on? And this, what is this? But it ended up being a program, and everyone was like, oh, it's just a
story. And then in the context of that was one of the reasons that the U.S. government did not want to release all this stuff that was happening with UFOs because of they didn't want to trigger a panic such as happened with War of the Worlds. You're exactly right. And they used that radio broadcast as the reason that they should keep all this under lid. So that's what happened.
No, that's cool. No, and then one of the things that really just fascinated me too was just like the technology. You keep seeing it the same, like it's either a saucer, cigar shaped, and then also like the type of metals. Like I know one of the accounts, yeah, it's like kind of like a memory metal. That's what they were kind of describing it as. It's kind of interesting, and that's how you also. That's kind of how I've heard Bob Lazar. You know, even he mentions as well, like kind of something like that, a similar type of metal to that aspect. Have you ever met him as well in any of the conventions, Bob Lazar?
I have not, but I've listened and watched all of his videos and his more recent interviews, and it's a very impressive story. And by the way, there's a new television series called Debris. Have either of you all seen that?
No.
I'm interested.
Is that on Netflix or where is that?
No, it's on NBC. It's just a regular TV show, and it's on its third episode.
Oh, okay.
And the whole concept of the show is this strange material that has fallen down out of the sky from an extraterrestrial spacecraft, and it has these strange properties where it changes shape, and it wreaks havoc with people's lives. It's a very interesting series. I strongly recommend.
No, definitely, and that's one thing, you know. I've heard you mention in one of your radios, in one of the radio programs you were on, like this material is kind of like if you, or I don't know if it was you or one of your buddies, but you described it like it's like, well, let's update it because I know that was in 2007. It's like taking a Tesla back to like the 1800s.
Yeah, like a
You know what I mean?
radioactive
People are gonna be like,
submarine.
how does this work?
They're not
Like,
gonna-
what is this technology?
That's right. That's
You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah.
And I have a few more questions, Noe, if you don't mind, man. One of them is just kind of maybe more so your personal opinion. I'm sorry, and just more through your experience. I mean, your opinion. Do you think there is, UFOs? Do you believe that there's, aliens, maybe visiting, planet Earth? I mean, I guess from your experience and research. I mean, what's your feel deep down?
I tell everybody that although I've written like 15 books about UFOs now, I am deeply skeptical
Still?
in most cases, because as Eddie pointed out earlier, I've made the comment, and it's a frequent comment that I make, that I believe over 90% of UFO sightings can be explained.
Like that HEV one.
The HEV.
The one at the Target.
Oh, there you go. The Target one. Yeah, there you go.
There, we have a range. There are people who see a light in the night sky and say that's an alien spacecraft, and you can't jump to that conclusion. But then on the other side of it, we have incidents that happen where multiple people witness it. It's non-conventional flight. It's obviously not a man-made aircraft. It exhibits non-ballistic behavior, and it's seen by multiple people from multiple locations. Then you have something very solid. So it's a spectrum of things. Now, in this latter case, where it's a very impressive sighting, we still don't know what the origin of that is. Is it extraterrestrial? A lot of people jump to that conclusion, but we don't know for sure. So the stories that I tell in my stories are what the documentations say and what the witnesses say. And like, for instance, listening to Travis Walton, and I've spoken and written about his story many times, he's convinced that these were extraterrestrials. I tend to believe him because I believe him to be a very genuine, down-to-earth, very believable, credible man, and he had this experience, and there doesn't seem any other way to explain it. So I tell the stories told to me by eyewitnesses, and I let people decide, do you think we are being visited? It's it's each person's opinion. We don't know if these beings are interdimensional, are there
Yeah, like the
There's
Men
a
in
extraterrestrial
lot of
Black,
travel?
like the Men in Black, possibly,
questions, a
right?
lot of questions, and that's the thing I like about it too. Just the idea of it, and that's what intrigues me the most. And I know a lot of people that are into it. It's just what is out there, what is it, and is it gonna make us better, good. I think that's just what it
Right.
is, just a
We've
curiosity.
had, and by the way, I don't think it's for better or worse. They seem to have these beings, whatever they are, seem to be relatively uninterested in getting involved with us. I
Yeah.
mean, they seem to like to surveil us and maybe do scientific type research on us, but they avoid getting involved with us, and we
I,
don't
I
really understand why.
I think on like Ancient Aliens, there was this one little segment where it's just like maybe they kind of look at us as little ants,
Like
like
just
we're just
observing,
yeah, like what are these humans doing? Let's just kind of observe them. It's kind of interesting, kind of how we observe maybe
It could be.
insects or animals or something like that.
And the
So
other
that
interesting
yeah.
thing is, and we don't have time to expound on it, but maybe in a future date,
Yeah.
is that a lot of these entities that are seen appear to be non-biological. Like
Oh wow.
they could be mechanical or cyborgs, some type of manufactured creature
Like a
rather than
drone
a some
type
kind
of
of
thing.
yeah, technology obviously way beyond what we can do, but not biological. They, like for instance, we know that a lot of times research has shown that they don't have reproductive organs, they don't have digestive organs,
Oh
and
wow.
yet, so I mean, they
That changes everything in a way, because I mean, it's just they're solely here for a certain thing.
they are
Yeah.
created specifically to come to our world and interact with the environment here, because whatever these beings that send them are like, they apparently exist in a form where they cannot easily visit our environment. So they send these manufactured beings here.
Awesome.
So then, I guess ultimately, I mean, I guess you kind of believe that there maybe is aliens, essentially.
There's a lot of evidence, right? But and there's a lot of credible sources, right? I think that's just what it is. I think that's what
I,
intrigues
I
you
tell
too, right?
people, I tell people, even though I myself have not encountered them, I've spoken to a lot of people who have, and they are very convincing to me.
Yeah.
Especially like Travis, like Travis Walton, like his like 7 other people said the same exact story. You know what I mean?
That's right.
And they went through like lie detector tests and everything. So that's the thing. And then another one too was like the other day, the airline pilot who said, "I'm seeing something. It looks like a missile. It just flew over me." A guy that's been in the sky like probably like a major part of his day, seeing something unusual like that. Like that's got to be credible right there too.
And no, sorry, I gotta ask two more questions. That's it. Then I'll let you go, man.
Yeah.
But now that I have you, on the airways, I feel like
Hmm.
I need to ask these questions.
Sure.
So, you know how the government is, kind of holding back some of this information. Do you feel that's right? Do you feel that, if anything, we're at that point where it's like, hey, let the human population know what, is kind of really going on? Because in a way, I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair for us. I mean, if anything, we should know. I mean, yeah, there may be some other reasons why they may be, hiding some of this information, maybe politics, maybe, you know, trying to control the energy, economics and whatnot. But do you feel ultimately, some of this information that, is subject to classification should be released? What's your feeling about that?
Well, I think it should all be released, but like you were just saying, there's some reasons why any government in the world will be hesitant to do this because of the implications for society and government control. And, there's military implications,
Oh
there's
yeah, definitely.
societal
Even
implications.
enemies, right? Like our enemies, if they know, if they see that we have this type of technology or something and we're using it, they'll get scared too, or they'll do something along those
And
lines,
That's
right?
kind of true.
this new TV show I mentioned, there are several countries that are
Mhm.
trying to obtain all of the debris that has fallen to Earth because they
Yeah.
see the technological and military applications. And so that's kind of tells it in a fiction. It's fiction, of course, but that kind of is the same thing that we've seen in stories about UFO crashes and the retrieval of extraterrestrial technology, where witnesses tell us that the government came in and took everything. And then we've heard stories of Area 51 where supposedly experiments have been conducted on
Mm-hmm.
the hardware that has been recovered at UFO crashes. So yeah,
The whole Bob Lazar and whatnot. I mean, I think that story is fascinating,
That's
really.
another podcast itself.
Yeah. And last question, Noe. I mean, it's maybe kind of on the funny side of the spectrum, but have you ever been visited by the Men in Black or someone kind of? Has anybody ever knocked on your door and like, hey, Noe, you need to
You just
stop
stop writing
publishing.
these
Yeah,
books,
you need to
man.
stop publishing.
You're looking at
This
too many
material.
journals.
Has
No.
anybody?
no, nothing threatening, but I've spoken at many UFO conferences all over the United States, and I've had some interesting random encounters with strange gentlemen. There was a gentleman I was having breakfast at my hotel restaurant, and he came and asked if he could sit down. I just assumed, this guy's here for the UFO conference that I'm speaking at, and he just, he knows I'm one of the speakers. So, and then he told me some incredible stuff about being a CIA secret operative and having access to materials about UFOs. And it just blew my mind. So I've had strange encounters where, and I have no way to verify their stories, of course. But
Yeah.
the fact that you're out there talking on this topic, first of all, it brings out people who have had encounters of their own. And it also brings out this, what I call this fringe element. They may or may not be telling the truth. I don't know, but
Yeah.
you
I can imagine.
hear amazing stories, but nothing has ever made me feel uncomfortable or threatened. No.
And
Well, that's
I
good.
think it's an awesome community too, man. I mean, I always, every time I see it online, there's always
Yes.
some good stuff, and everybody always gets together when these conventions happen. And I know that's another thing too. When that Area 51 came out, they were like forefront about it, like trying to change it up, trying to make it more safe for everybody, right? So that's cool that the community is also awesome, and that we could also have that here in Edinburgh, man. I know, congratulations. I know a few years ago you were ranked as one of the top festivals in the UFO world, so
That's
awesome
right.
stuff in the world. So congrats on that. And I do applaud you to keep it going. 9th year. Unfortunately, it could have been the 10th, but due to the pandemic last year, things happened. But stuff, that's it just happens, but I appreciate you doing it and working hard and getting all these people together and having something for people to do around the community. That's
Well,
another thing too, man.
we have to give big kudos to the city of Edinburgh, the mayor, the city officials, Letty Lehan, the whole library and art staff, because without their efforts, I mean, we've tried to do UFO conferences like this in other places in Texas, but the only one still standing is Edinburgh. And that's because of the incredible amount of support that the local community and the officials in the city of Edinburgh have for it. So without that, I mean, we could be like Laredo, which only lasted 2 years, and Del Rio, which only lasted 3 or 4 years. So, yeah, we're happy that Edinburgh, the city of Edinburgh, has been so forward-thinking and so open-minded and so supportive. And they basically are footing the bill for it. So we really appreciate it. In a lot of places, UFO festivals are privately funded, and the funding comes and goes, and you got to pay this huge admission to go in, hundreds of dollars, and so
the way that you can keep it free too, man, that's just awesome.
Kudos Edinburgh, definitely.
Man.
Well, only the speaker part of it has an admission, but the rest of it is all free. Yeah,
definitely. And where can people find you, Noe, and then also more info on the event?
Yeah, my link to everything is roswellbooks.com.
Roswell Books.
So roswellbooks.com, and I've got links also to the festival from there. So, and all
perfect.
My
yeah, no, definitely. And I know on YouTube too. I mean, you got a great amount of subscribers as well, man. Congrats on that. I know a lot of people are watching your stuff and seeing. Even I was like looking. There was a lot of content there that was really compelling to me. Like we didn't even get to it. Like there was one I saw a trucker got yanked out of the truck, and I was like, what? But we'll probably go over that one another time, hopefully. But I appreciate your time.
Thank you all very much for having me on today. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. And thanks for making the time, man. I appreciate it. We're gonna be I mean, we're on Thursday, so yeah, man. Thanks so much for joining in, and appreciate your time.
if anybody's interested in my latest book, it's
There you
called
go.
The Real Cowboys and Aliens, The Coming of the Airships, 1896 to 1899. So,
And they could find that info on that website,
On Roswell
right?
Books.
And then on
yeah,
Amazon
Roswell
too.
Books and on Amazon, yeah. Appreciate
And I know
it.
it's also part of the Amazon subscription too, like of the reader books. I was looking at that. That's awesome. So yeah, man, Noe, appreciate it.
Look forward to the
Thank
event,
you so
man.
much. And yeah, we'll probably see you there at the event more than likely.
And again, it's April 9th and 10th, correct?
April 8th, 9th, 10th.
8th, 9th, and 10th, with the most of it being on the 9th and 10th.
Okay,
Yes,
perfect.
sir.
All right,
All right.
Noe. Well, thank you so much. And I
Alrighty.
appreciate you joining in.
Have a great
Yes,
rest
sir.
of your